Do you feel like in Black art in general, do you feel like the voices are still marginalized in the art world, more revered than it was in the recent past?
That I would agree with that. There's more of this acceptance and even like a trend to show black art. Like it's the thing to show now as opposed to, oh, we're just checking off our have to do list. So it seemed to be a bit of a shift.
It's the people who influence culture, the bigger names, and what they collect that kind of moves what galleries then are more compelled to show. More celebrities are collecting Black art now. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we see that it's become more of a trend to do so, in my opinion.
Hey friends, welcome to Tradition Café, the spot where the past bumps into the present and we get to sip our favorite drinks while digging into the stories that make people, well, people. I'm Anna Xavier, your host. In each episode, we'll talk art, passions, customs, celebrations, everyday traditions, and how people's cultures shape the way they live, work, and create today. So if you're like me and love a good story, pull up a chair, grab your cup, and thanks for listening.
Everybody, welcome back to Tradition Cafe. I've been interviewing a bunch of artists from Art of the African Diaspora, the satellite show at Resistance Press and Gallery 23 in Alameda, California. These are the two curators. I've got Eric Murphy and Yolanda Cotton Turner. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited. Tell us about Art of the African Diaspora and the show in general. How long has this been running? Because this is a satellite of the overall one. Eric, do you want to speak to that or?
sure. So it went through a couple of different names. The one I'm most familiar with was The Art of Living Black. The program is actually in its 29th year. It will be the Richmond Arts Center, where you see over 160 Black artists. So one sample of all of their works. And then the following months, you can go out to all what we call the satellite exhibits and see more of their work.
How long have you been involved? You've shown art, but you've also been a curator as well. How long have you done each one individually, and how long have you done both at the same time?
So curating, I've been doing for about 25, 26 years. For this program, this is actually my second year. So I've been under the wing of Yolanda and Jessica for this particular one because I was new as a participant for this program. So they assigned me as a curator to Studio 23 last year, and I learned from under Yolanda, Jess, and Wes, like how they structure it and set up their programs for their locations. So
Mhm.
as an artist and a curator, last year was my first year participating as far as this program is concerned.
Oh, okay. And we're talking about Jess and Wes of Studio 23 Gallery in Alameda, California. And Yolanda, your gallery is right next to that, and it is
That's
called
right.
Resistance Press. How long have you been involved in this overall program?
I want to say 4 years. Yeah.
As a curator, or
I yes,
and you were
as a
showing
curator.
art too before, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, showing art as an artist and also curator. So, I've been with the Art of the African Diaspora for about 4 years, both as an artist and a curator.
How were you able to come up with which artists you want to work with?
So, the way that the program works is that there's a call, right? There's a call so that people who are interested can submit to it. But, as a curator, I also let the director know what I'm hoping to find in terms of work. If there's certain parameters, I can give those parameters. And I give, a number of artists, the maximum number of artists that I can take. right? And so then there's after they do all the work in terms of, the call and managing that piece of it. And then they give me my final list of artists. And of course, if there's any discussion needed at that point, we can talk. But usually it's a great list and, with great artists, and I can run with it.
Yeah, they are great artists because I've been interviewing them too. And I've been learning so much about um, art of the African diaspora, process of painting and creating. And Eric, let's talk about your art. Your medium is, I would say, you use a lot of maps lately,
Mhm.
right? You're multi
Mixed media,
mixed media.
Yep.
Thank you. Mixed
Uh-huh.
media. Okay. Yeah, talk to me about your style and how did it come about?
The work that I'm doing now is a series called Oakland All Stars. So it's about famous people from Oakland. So two things I had a really liking for, since I know there's a better term to use, but anyway, I was always into maps and languages since elementary school, so it kind of stuck with me all my life. For this particular series, it kind of trace back to this group I was working with that's still around, the African American Quilt Guild of Oakland. And they commissioned me to do a design for their cover. And I was kind of jaded with everybody using the City of Oakland logo, and I needed something else to represent Oakland that's not so typical. So I was looking around and I started thinking about growing up. I was like, how come I know what the map of Compton, California looked like, but not Oakland? And, growing up watching NWA and everybody, they always pan the camera across that street sign with the map of Compton. So I start looking up the map of Oakland and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful shape. So I was like, I'm gonna use that for their cover. That's something different, not everybody using it, and that's how that started. Fast forward to 2022, I started the Oakland All-Star series, which is basically about famous people from Oakland or famous people that are affiliated with Oakland, got their start in Oakland. And this series was inspired by Shamar Moore when he was hosting the Soul Train Award back, not the awards, the TV series back in the early 2000s. And he introduced somebody to the stage that was from Oakland. But before he did, he was bragging like, yeah, I'm from East Oakland. I grew up over by Soprani Park. A lot of people didn't know that. And I sure didn't. My jaw dropped. All of our jaw dropped. Like, damn, this dude we grew up watching on the Days of Our Lives back in the 80s. He's from Oakland. I was like, what? So I was like, who else is from Oakland? So I actually sat on its concept for years and finally launched it. And it was actually going to start off as a t-shirt series with all these famous people. And then I had a show at Joyce Gordon Gallery, got desperate to put some artwork together. So instead of putting a bunch of them on the shirts, I decided to do a single portrait. And that's how that series began. It started with Juan Toscano Anderson, Zendaya, and then the people that's not from Oakland but have affiliation was like Van Jones, Steph Curry, and then like Carl Webb. Everybody knows him as Apollo Creed from the Rockies. His first professional career started off as a linebacker for the Oakland Raiders. So anyway, that's how that whole series started, and that's where the maps and languages came from.
The one that surprised me the most was Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, born and raised in Oakland.
I did not
I
know
get
that. I did
everybody.
not
I
know that.
That and the funny part about this, everybody like, why don't you do Choose Your MC Ham? I'm like, everybody and mama know that already. It's like it's not fun. It's like my work is like a
Yeah.
trivia. I want you to kinda, you might,
Yeah.
but you might not know. And when it comes to Mark Hamill, I get that same response. Everybody like, oh, I didn't know he's from Oakland. In the actual picture on his lightsaber, I should have made it bigger, but I pulled a text from his Twitter account. It was a lady from Diablo magazine, and she was interviewing him, and she's like, yeah, I was trying to confirm if you're from Castro Valley. And he was like, yeah, I keep hearing that. And I don't know where people get that from because I was born in Oakland, California. That was on this account. I'm like, oh, that's going right into the picture.
Well, that's cool because you're wanting to represent the things that people don't know about Oakland, for instance, the celebrities that don't know. But then you're also infusing in it the maps. People are going to be able to look at these pieces of Oakland that they didn't even know. It's almost like you're shedding a light on some mystery that people think one thing about Oakland, but they don't know all the other stuff. People think, really bad stuff about Oakland, and Oakland can be incredibly beautiful in some parts.
It
and
is. It's so
very
many.
multicultural. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
that was the goal.
yeah, it's a good goal. You met the goal. Yolanda, let's talk about your art. Now, I know that you went to college for music. Yes?
I did.
And tell me about how you got into art from that then. How did you make that crossover?
Yeah, so I studied music in high school and I really enjoyed it, and it made my heart sing. And so I decided to, when I started college, to major in music. I went to Cal State Hayward at the time it was called, and they had a really good music program, so I'm like, yeah, this is the right spot. As I went through their studies, I found that there was a lack of diversity, and that's in the style of music that they were teaching, right? And so that 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 made my heart ache, because the thing that I love about music is how it can talk to people across cultures, regardless of language, regardless. There's something about music that speaks to all of us, across borders. And um and that's the beauty of it for me. That's what made me so happy. Um so I was like, well, okay, let me visit one of my other, loves, and let me, see what the art department has to offer. And I was, flipping through what was then a, paper registry of classes.
Yeah.
That's right. And 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 I was like, oh, lithography. What? I have no idea what that is. I gave the art department a call and I said, what is this lithography class? And they're like, oh my God, so glad you asked. You take a stone, you do this with it, blah, 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 da, 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 da. It's so exciting. And I'm
That's so
like, wow, that sounds interesting. Let me try it. And the first print that I pulled from that stone, I fell in love. I fell in love. I was like, this is amazing. I want to keep doing this. So,
Do you still have that one?
do I? I'm not sure if it's the very first one, but from that time frame, yes. I still have, yeah. Yeah. So that's when I decided that, I was going down the road of art. Yeah. I was going to commit myself to it fully.
That's really exciting to find that. And did you feel like you were like finding home? Did you feel like you were kind of
I
trying to
did.
fulfill something else, and then all of a sudden you were like, what?
It was, when you're taking classes in college, a lot of times you're like, okay, I got to go to class, I got to study, I got to get a grade in this class, and then I'm done. You just do what you need to do and then you're done. You meet the requirements, pass your, get the grades you want to get. But with my art classes, it was a lifestyle. It was a way of living. I literally lived in my art studio classroom. Like I remember I spent the night there. They didn't know I was there.
Mute. Edit.
No, they
I
can't do
worked.
nothing about it now.
Nope.
Janitors are coming through cleaning, and I was like, shh.
Oh,
And I just kept working throughout the night. I saw students starting to come early in the morning, and I was like, oh, I got to get cleaned up. It looked like I just showed up.
you were the real deal, man. You actually lived and breathed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the
That's so
real.
great.
Yeah, and of course, there's, the question kept being thrown at me like, "Oh, what are you gonna do with this? How are you gonna make money off of this? What are you gonna do with an art degree?" And my thinking at that time was that what one thing that I really appreciated about creativity is the healing aspect of it, the way that it could heal people who were ill, that it could connect people who were angry. I just felt like creativity, art, music, all of the above was very healing and that I wanted to use it to heal. So, I didn't exactly have a plan, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
I love that.
Yeah,
Um, have you found that it has worked for you in that manner throughout your whole life, the healing aspect?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of artists need that. We're kind of tortured souls. But
Yeah.
when you go through something, you lean on what really helps you express it. Eric, do you find the healing piece in your work?
I do in terms of creating it. It's healing. What I get a joy out of is like when neighbors or somebody purchase my work, and then I'm over at their house, and one of them, she's like, she had it in her living room. She's like, "Oh, this is where I put your piece, because things get busy, it gets crazy, and I just come in this room and I just look at it, and it's just kind of like a little vacation." So
There it
those
is.
kind of reactions is what I get a real joy out of,
Joy.
and that's what really that helps inspire me to know that it has this emotional connection with people.
Yeah. And Yolanda, you do a lot of representation of Oakland, or you have a series that has an Oakland inspiration to it?
So, yeah, I was raised in Oakland. And obviously through, the past some odd years, we've had a lot of change both in communities and in businesses. But a lot of our memories are held in the places that we used to go to, right? I remember my dad taking me to Esther's, and getting some peach cobbler. That was our thing. And we would talk to them there, and it was just something that we did, and it was a heartwarming memory that I still hold. Now, with change, comes a lot of upset, and I wanted to kind of heal that upset with my work. And basically, the Oakland Signage Series focuses on some of the signage of old businesses that were, placeholders in the community, right? That people remember, that people who grew up in Oakland had a connection to. And so I created that work for them to bring back those heartwarming feelings, those memories, to talk about those memories, right? So that other people, newcomers, could hear those memories and therefore having more reverence and understanding for the place that they moved to, being able to kind of mesh the culture together instead of letting change rip it apart.
Yeah, and actually I have a personal story about that work of yours. I I went into Resistance Press with a friend of mine named Yolanda, who
Yes.
was born and raised in Oakland, and she saw one of your paintings, or what do you-
Prince.
prints, thank you.
Yep.
She saw one of your prints, and I remember it brought tears to her eyes because
Yeah.
she and, it was a family member or something went there all the
Her
time.
dad.
Yeah, her dad, yes.
Yeah.
And it did. And she sat there and stared at two different versions of it. I think you had two different colors or something.
Yeah.
And she ended up wanting to have a picture with you. It was so great. And so as someone who moved from the Midwest to Oakland, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I get to hear how it's home," you know?
Right.
I'm
Right.
not I came here and it's home for me now too,
Yeah.
but I get to hear about the stories of the people who really feel this culture, who really were born with it, you know?
I love that you brought that up. You know, that gives context to an unfamiliar place. That can make someone else's home seem like home to someone else. You know, that can help the person who feels like their home is disrupted feel reconnected again, you
Yeah,
know?
and also be able to say it to the world that you have them, society or, media or whatever has this one view of Oakland.
Right,
This is my home we're talking about, you know?
right.
And I have so many beautiful memories. Let me, share that with you and you can soak that in. Eric, what you got? You
I'm
look like
sorry,
a
this
cat.
is what I had on earlier. It might look familiar. Hand,
Is that
hand.
yours?
I was wearing this earlier today, and I couldn't figure out whether to keep the shirt on or switch. And then, and then, on
God, I love the
a
giant bird.
hand printed lino cut by this artist named Yolanda Cotton Turner. Oh my God, I sold so many shirts. Everybody loved
Really?
Quarter Pound. They love her shirts. And then my personal favorite growing up, Lynch
Yeah.
Barbecue.
It's
Huh?
barbecue.
Still there, right?
There,
No?
Oh,
Oh
they're
my.
there's
gone.
no more Flint. So this is near and dear to a lot of us who grew
Oh
up eating it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
recaptured our memory.
It's
I
really
couldn't help it.
important work.
I had to get both of them. It's like Oakland nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, those must have been fun to create.
Yeah, they were. Thanks for sharing that, Eric.
Thank you.
I couldn't help it. As soon as y'all start talking about it, I was like, pause.
You're like, "Oh,
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
I gotta go get it. I love that you're show and telling for her.
Oh no, it's I'm sorry, I had to
So
go there.
cute. Oh no, that's staying in.
But see, that's my art still at work.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Doing its
is.
work.
Everybody who's grown up here, and even I know those places, and I moved here in 2000, and I still
Yeah.
see, well, you saw how sad I got when I saw that Flint's was closed. When did
Yeah.
that close down? What the hell? Where have I been? Tell me about what it means to you to give back to that community, this Bay Area or East Bay, to the art of the African diaspora. You guys are bringing so many memories alive for people. How does that feel to be able to give back to that? Do you
It
understand?
feels like a sweet debt to pay for being a part of the community.
Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's some
That
good tape.
that was better than 007 Smart. I don't know how to
That's
follow that one.
that's my sound bite right there.
Yeah.
That's the hook.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how to follow that one up.
Eric, how do you feel? That's great. So what tell me more about that feeling. Tell me about that emotion of sweet debt to pay. That's a beautiful way to put that.
It's it it's the place that, I mean, different places, different people, different events, different, just the life and culture of the East Bay has raised me. And as a product of that, I feel like I owe it to the culture to feed back into it.
God, that's so beautiful. Hey, Eric, you want to follow that up?
Oh no, I had something to say
You're just
until
gonna
Steve said it.
tap dance off to the
There
left.
it is. Here. This what I can do. No, no, it's similar vein. It really feels good to one of the main things as curator in this program is it's just being able to work with established artists, but also like emerging artists and just giving them an opportunity to feature their work. That's the beautiful thing about this program. You got a mix of all of them and they're in the same place. And the thing is, it's like it it's just nice to give back and offer them a voice. And with these programs, it's just so many talent. It's just so much talent out here, and you don't know it until these programs come up. And to be able to serve these artists is amazing. And what's even more amazing and uplifting and encourage you to keep doing it is the feedback you get from the show. It's like, oh, I love what you guys did. I love how you curated the show. And it was one of the best shows I had. And, you know, when they start giving these kind of feedbacks, you like, yep, I have to do it again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a call to duty.
Right. Do you feel like in Black art in general, do you feel like the voices are still marginalized in the art world? Not as celebrated as they should be?
I
Or do you
do.
feel like it's more talked about, more revered than it was in the recent past?
That I would agree with that. I think it's more spoken for, more recognized than previous years. Even in terms of art being collected, and it's been before, but I noticed it more like around the pandemic and around George Floyd. It's like this bigger turnaround and like quest to show black art where I didn't see that before. It was like even like museums, they'll purchase it and then have it hidden in their collection and never get put out to be seen. And a lot of that seemed to change. I think there's like this trend and demand to the point where they feel there's more of this acceptance and even like a trend to show black art. Like it's the thing to show now as opposed to, oh, we're just checking off our have to do list. So it seemed to be a bit of a shift.
Mm.
And me for it, I could be wrong, but I noticed it around George Floyd and post George Floyd. There's just a total different attitude and acceptance and featuring more black art and collecting black art.
Yolanda, did you want to say
Yeah,
something
I
about
did want
that?
to say something. There's the 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 thought that it's the people who influence culture, the bigger names, that and what they collect that kind of moves what galleries then are more compelled to show. There, I think I think a lot of the major galleries are going to want to show the work that's popular, the thing that the celebrities are collecting, and I think that that's more celebrities are collecting black art now, and I think that that's one of the reasons why we see that it's become more of a trend to do so, in my opinion.
There's a difference between trend and trendy. Um,
Yeah.
so you're saying a trend as in like a movement of curiosity and knowledge and learning? It's not trendy though, right?
I think that trendy is something that's fleeting, right? And of course, we don't truly know until time passes, But I feel like trendy also suggests something that's not deep in meaning, and I think that there is a lot of depth and meaning when we're talking about black art.
Kind of like with hip hop, it's like looked at as, oh, it's not gonna last, or it's not this. And then as time develop, you see how powerful, impactful it is. So it was always something of substance and value, but the thing is getting the general public, getting the audience to see that value. And that's where the thing is. And if you get people like celebrities and people who were influential that have sense enough to appreciate it and put it out there, it feel like other people feel like, oh, okay, now this is acceptable when it should have been acceptable. You should have saw the merit and the value in it already. But I hate to say I keep telling people this world is like a big high school for grown-ups. Sometimes we look for other people to tell us this is okay when,
Yeah.
those with good judgment could look and tell that something had value from jump.
Yeah, and hip hop was a really good analogy.
The value and the merits and the quality of work was always there. You just needed some people to tell you, like, yes, it's okay.
Yeah. And Eric, I'm glad you brought up hip hop because that's exactly what was going on in the back of my mind when I was talking. Is the same kind of, in the beginning of hip hop, it was a big question. Is this going to last? Is this, a viable source of music? Is this, real? Is it, and I think there a lot of those questions were surrounded. So that I was actually thinking of hip hop when I was answering. So thanks for bringing that up, Eric.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
As a curator, in Alameda specifically, um, Alameda's always kind of fostered my art career, so I became very connected to the Alameda art world. Um, Made some wonderful connections. It got connected to a wonderful community, and that really became my art home. And I think that it's important for me to bring this show to Alameda to help you know, uh, bring to the forefront Black art and to expose maybe some people who aren't used to seeing Black art on a regular basis and letting them meet some of the artists and interact with the work and be exposed to the story.
This whole program kind of permeates this beautiful Black art in cities that you normally wouldn't see it. You got it in Vallejo, you got it in Alameda, you got it in Sonoma, it's everywhere in areas that you normally don't hear or not used to seeing it, and it kind of showcases the work that we do and kind of expose cities that's maybe not used to seeing our work to
That's
see what we can do and what we have and the value of it.
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Because this satellite show is one of many of the larger Art of the African Diaspora show that is based in Richmond. Yes. How many others are there? Because you mentioned Vallejo and then here in
Yeah,
Alameda.
there's 150 plus
I
that's
didn't
in the
know it was
program.
that many.
In the program, yeah, absolutely. And then each satellite has, a handful here and there, we're all scattered about in our satellites, but there's 150 plus artists in Richmond. We're all showing, one piece to represent, who we are as artists.
Yeah, and they have a website that if you guys don't know this, you can go to the website and I know that they have an online gallery. If you can't make it out to any of the satellites, then by all means go to the website and check it out. The artists are phenomenal and you can I'll put the website up on the screen and buy something, be a collector. You mentioned that everybody gets one piece or are there going to be many pieces? What do we get to see from you?
Yeah, so in the satellite show at Resistance Press, there's going to be 4 artists. I'm one of them. Next door at Studio 23, there'll be another 4 artists. Eric is one of them. So you're going to have a total of 8 artists that you can see in one night, one event. We're right next door to each other. We share a courtyard. So, and we're working together to put on this event for the community. So, what are you going to see from me? That's going to be a surprise.
What? What?
You have to come to the show to see.
Aha. There's the hook. Another hook, Eric. You got to keep up. Another hook. Have I actually seen the piece of work that
You have not. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm excited. Everybody else should be excited too because her other work, phenomenal.
Yeah.
You had one shown. Well, we just saw the Oakland pieces,
Right.
prints, and you had another one in the larger.
The larger show at the Richmond Art Center. Yeah, and that one is an abstract piece. It's called Intercontinental. It's about, moving from one form into another. It's about moving out of an established set form into a more authentic sense of self. And it's about transitions. It's about movement. It's about becoming. A vibrant, rich blue background representing the uh, the sense of truth that emerges when you are making some sort of move from one form to another. When you're making some transformation, you really come in tune with a true sense of who you are and trusting who that person is in order to emerge into that new form, right? The new form is sort of like a burnt orange. Um, it's a mesh. It's a mesh form that's emerging, kind of flipping out of that. We're forever changing as individuals. We are as we are today, and tomorrow we'll be on our way to a different form of
Yeah.
ourselves, a different sense of who our representation in this world, right?
It's gorgeous. I also love the tick. What is that one actually
Yeah,
called? Is it the tick?
it's the tick.
It's the tick.
It's
I
the tick.
love that one.
Yeah, I created the tick on its own without a real place to go, just as ticks do. They're they're looking for a host.
Yeah.
And I remember, and that one was uh, a dry point etching, and it just kind of, I created it when I had a studio space over at Jingletown Art Studio. And I remember Judith, who has recently passed last year, um, she came in and she saw it and she was like, "Oh my God, I love this tick. What's the tick story?" And I told her, I was like, "I don't know. I'll keep you updated." And some years passed, and there was a show at Studio 23 that it was called Displacement. And I used the tick in a piece. So the piece was about an apartment complex that was across the street from me at the time. And it was, there was a lot of people who were kicked out of their homes. Displacement was a show about gentrification in the Bay Area. So that's where the tick was. The tick was representing the developers.
Bloodsuckers.
That's right.
The vampires. I think that people should really uh start collecting more unique or, art made by someone they know, someone they, you know, saw making something. Just go and visit some art. There are galleries all over the place. I mean, if you live here in Alameda or Oakland, Resistance Press and Studio 23 put on something all the time. You
That's
guys are
right.
very well established, respected members of the art community here, and there's a lot that's always going on. Go and see these shows and learn. And on March 21st, you can go and you can even talk to the artists. That's a
Yeah.
privilege. That's a privilege because
Yeah.
you don't always get that if you go to a museum. I mean, you
Right.
rarely get that, but at this show, you're going to actually be able to talk to these artists. It's been a really big honor getting to meet everybody, and I've been learning so much. I want to hear people's stories. I mean, that's what my podcast is about. I want to hear your stories, no matter where you come from. Talk to me about your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And Anna, I believe that you have the women's podcast. What is it? A vote? Tell me a little
A
bit about what you
vote.
got.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I was nominated for a podcast award in women's podcast in Women's Podcasters Award. I see, this makes me so uncomfortable. But I'm in the society and culture section.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So, and voting starts April 1st. So
Oh, amazing. So yeah, we'll be sure to vote for you because
thank
we love your
you.
content.
Thank you.
And we think that it's valuable to the community.
Thank you.
So yeah, no, seriously, you
Thank
do
you.
great work.
Thank you. I just want to say that it has been like a true honor to be able to do this. I got to do something this important, and it's
Yeah.
truly an honor, and I get to learn at the same time. Lifelong student, this is amazing for me. Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks
for
everybody else for listening. I appreciate it.
yes.
The Art of the African Diaspora Satellite Exhibition at Resistance Press and Studio 23. The project is made possible through the generous support of our sponsors who believe in the power of art and community. Julie's Coffee and Tea Garden is a serene, community-centered space in Alameda, offering organic coffee, herbal teas, and wholesome food, created to nourish both body and mind. Digifly is a grassroots, homegrown digital flyer distribution company made by locals for locals. Think of it as an electronic community billboard. Digifly's screens are all over the East Bay and seen by over 150,000 locals monthly. You'll see digital flyers for East Bay restaurants, retail shops, comedy clubs, art shows, museums, concerts, all the things that make the East Bay such a great place to live. Whether you are trying to get the word out about your business or upcoming event, or you're just looking for something fun to do this weekend, you need to check Digifly. Visit digifly.com to learn more and find local events. Art Push is an artist-run nonprofit that supports artists by creating exhibitions, workshops, and community events, making sure art is seen, shared, and experienced behind the gallery walls. Visit my website at traditioncafe.com. You can also reach out to me at anna@traditioncafe.com. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, but you can watch us on YouTube.